Welcome to the sweet spot. The sickness starts to fade, the bump is beginning to grow, and for the first time, it's beginning to feel real. This is the stage where you hear the heartbeats. You might feel the first kick. And suddenly, the idea of becoming a dad stops feeling abstract. It becomes real. But don't mistake this stage for the easy bit. Because this is where the emotional, financial, and practical reality of fatherhood starts to hit. And how you show up now will shape how you prepare for when baby arrives. You're not expecting a baby, you're becoming a father. And there is a difference. Most men don't realise this until it's too late. They wait, they stay quiet, they assume they're going to figure it all out when baby arrives. And then one day, they're exhausted, disconnected, and wondering how they became a passenger in their own family. This series exists to stop that happening. I'm Aidan, founder of the Modern Fatherhood Club and dad of two. I've lived the mistakes, I've carried the pressure, and I know exactly what it costs when fathers don't prepare. This isn't about being perfect, simply about being present. It's about understanding your role early so you don't spend the next 5 years trying to repair it. Every episode is going to give you clarity, perspective, and one thing you can actually do right now to show up better for your partner and your child. This series is built for you. It's designed to help you show up from day one and be the dad they need and the partner she's expecting you to be. No fluff, no lectures, just clear, tactical advice based on real experience. We are going to walk through what's coming, physically, emotionally, financially, and mentally. Not just for her, but for you. Because this isn't about being the backup. It's about building a partnership that works under pressure. If you're expecting her to carry the baby and the burden, then you're already behind. But here's the good news. Being switched on, present, and prepared, it's a choice. One you get to make today. One she'll never forget. So let's get you ready to lead. Not by force, but by example. Let's build the version of you, your partner, your child, and your future self will be proud of. Fatherhood isn't a role, it's a responsibility, and it starts now. Okay, let's dive in. Months 4 to 6, they're often described as the sweet spot of pregnancy. The sickness fades, energy starts to return, and the pregnancy becomes more visible. For many couples, this is when the excitement starts to grow. But this is also when something else happens. The reality of becoming a parent starts to settle in. And for you as dad, this is when your role becomes more active. But looking back, this stretch was really special for us. The sickness had eased, my partner's energy was coming back, and for the first time, the pregnancy started to feel exciting. I remember lying on the sofa one evening talking to her. And then I caught myself doing something strange. I started talking to her bump. It felt odd at first, but I'll admit it. It started to feel natural. We'd play music to the baby, country music, Foo Fighters, cheesy pop ballads, anything to get some sort of reaction. And sometimes we'd get a kick or flutter. Now with our second child, that didn't quite happen as much. Life with a toddler can be so chaotic, so hectic. There was less serenading, more survival. But those small moments during the second trimester, they were special for all of us. And they help you start building the connection that you are desperate to have with your baby. Now here's something most of us don't expect. Even though this period is feeling calmer, well, your responsibilities are actually going to increase. Now let's look at the physical changes and the change in symptoms. The sickness may ease, but new challenges are going to appear. Backache is common. If she's been exercising, that's going to help. But supporting her posture when she's sitting and helping reduce any heavy lifting, that's going to make all the difference. Headaches can also appear. Usually they're manageable, but if they become severe, that's when you seek support from your local GP. The NHS guidance states that paracetamol may be used short term, but medications like ibuprofen should only be taken if advised by a doctor. At this stage, any challenges that she's facing physically, any challenges that are causing her some discomfort, please seek medical advice. There's 111 in the UK where you can get extra advice. You can get access to your local GP, and I urge you to do that if you're unsure. Get support, get the help you need, and make sure she is comfortable. Now, fatigue is still common, so encourage rest whenever possible. And then there's one you'll definitely notice: the pregnancy pillow. At some point, this pillow arrives in your bed, and suddenly you realize that you have been temporarily replaced. It's not personal. She is just trying to get comfortable. And if you thought pregnancy was going to bring you closer together in bed, well, wait until that pregnancy pillow shows up. Then you'll understand what I mean. Now, other symptoms can appear during the second trimester. Hip or pelvic pain, cramp in the legs or the feet, constipation caused by hormone changes. Now, gentle exercise, water, and fibre can help manage this. Swelling in her hands and feet can also happen, so encourage her to rest and elevate her feet when possible. And then there's something many couples notice during this phase. Her sex drive may increase, but it might also decrease. Both are completely normal, and unless a doctor advises otherwise, sex during pregnancy, well, it's safe. Just follow her lead, stay respectful, and make sure she feels comfortable. But physical changes, that's not the only shift happening here. Emotionally, this is when the reality of parenthood often begins to land. You start talking more about the future, the nursery, childcare, finances, names, and with that excitement can come worry. She may start asking herself questions like, will I be a good mother? How will I cope with birth? What's going to happen to my career? Will our relationship change? This is where your role becomes critical. Listen, reassure, and remind her she is not facing this on her own. Because here's the truth, most people aren't saying out loud. Pregnancy doesn't just create a baby, but it creates two new parents and extra responsibility. So this is the stage when the practical side of pregnancy becomes important. Work needs to be informed, policies must be followed, and your partner needs to notify her employer no later than 15 weeks before baby is due. And you're going to need to inform your employer too about paternity leave. Understanding maternity and paternity rights early reduces stress later. Because the financial reality of having a baby, it can be a shock. Even for financially stable couples, losing one income, even temporarily, is going to change things. So this is the time to start understanding the financial picture. Okay, let's talk the scan. So around weeks 18 to 20, you'll attend one of the most important appointments of this pregnancy, the anatomy scan. The ultrasound is going to check your baby's growth, the position of the placenta, the amount of amniotic fluid, and whether there are any structural abnormalities. If you can attend this appointment, do it. Not just to support your partner, but because this moment makes everything feel even more real. I remember it. You see this grainy image, you're only in there a few moments, and then they say to you, how many pictures would you like? And then they charge you a fee. But that is the moment where it moves from you being on the outside of the pregnancy to it feeling real, something tangible, something that begins, something that is not too far off. And this is where you can begin to get excited. Now, there are so many more responsibilities that we can talk through, but the administrative side of things that we've talked through today, that's going to be critical, because this is where you take some of the load. This is where you carry some of the weight. You ensure that your partner understands the complexities of her policies, you understand the complexities of yours, and you make sure that your employers are notified within the time frames required. But then you sit back for a few moments and you enjoy the journey. You reflect on what you have. You reflect on the beauty of your partner, the strength of your partner. You reflect on your opportunity to lead and inspire. And you can look forward to holding baby for the first time. Now, your specific action, well, this stage is about leaning in emotionally. We are not talking grand gestures. We are talking consistent presence. Talk about the future. Talk about what kind of parents you want to be. Share your fears. Share your hopes. And please don't avoid the financial conversation. Money pressure is one of the biggest sources of stress for couples after a baby arrives. So talk about it early. Talk about childcare. Talk about maternity leave and her plans. Talk about how life is going to change. Because avoiding that conversation now is only going to make it harder later down the line. Here is the one thing I want you to take from this episode. Be there for the scan. That appointment isn't just medical, it's emotional. It's a moment where the connection with your baby becomes so much stronger. Attend antenatal classes together, and if you can, take a first aid course together. These experiences build confidence as parents, and they strengthen partnership, but they also can build community. So let's recap the key lessons from this stage. Support the physical changes she's experiencing. Stay emotionally present as the reality of parenthood begins to land. Understand your workplace rights and financial planning. And take time to celebrate the small moments of connection with your baby. Because this stage of pregnancy isn't just about waiting. It's about preparation. Preparation for the father that you are about to become, the partner that she needs, and the example your child will grow up watching. The more you invest now, the stronger your start will be when the real adventure begins. Look, if I reflect back on my own story, my own early fatherhood journey, I attended the scan. We were both excited. That's that little miracle that you have, that little secret that you've been keeping. It's those moments that bring you closer together, right? It's those challenges that you are going to face together that require that strong unity, that strong partnership. Those are the things that will see you through some of the tricky days. But one thing I wish I'd done is reflect more on who I was, what I wanted as a dad, what type of dad they needed to be. Because it wasn't until much, much later down the line when our second arrived and I was caught cold that I didn't quite understand my role. I knew I was there to love, care, protect, nurture, and provide. But I wanted to do so much more as a dad. I wanted to connect on a deeper level. So I urge you to take that moment to reflect on the dad you want to be, because you can step up early. You can take on additional responsibility. You can lighten the load. But the emotional connection that you're searching for in those early days, that is down to the man you are, the man that you want to be, and the dad that they need in those early days and those formative years. So reflect, understand who you are today, understand what you want to give your kids, understand what you want to give your partner, your wife, and respect everything that's come before and everything that will come tomorrow. Look, if this episode hit home, well, that's not by accident. Fatherhood has a way of surfacing the things we've been avoiding. Pressure, fear, expectation, identity. The difference between dads who grow into the role and dads who burn out under it is simple: awareness and support. So if you want ongoing support, you can join the Modern Fatherhood Club. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe so you do not miss future episodes. And if you're listening on podcast platforms, follow the show. And if you know another dad who would benefit from these conversations, please share the episode with him. Because that's how this spreads, one honest conversation at a time. Now, before you go, answer this in the comments. What are you going to do today to help you prepare better for the future? Like I said in the episode, for me, I wish I'd reflected more on who I was and who I wanted to become. Like I said, if you can, do it. Write it down, dive into the detail, and get so clear on the role that you want to play and the dad that you want them to see. As I've said before, fatherhood starts long before baby arrives, so the work you do now is going to echo for decades. Remember, presence beats perfection, awareness beats guesswork, and the work you do now shapes the father you become and the father they see. I'll see you in the next episode.